Lena stared at the ceiling of her tiny apartment, the morning light cutting through the thin curtains like it had somewhere better to be. The rent was due in 3 days. Her sister's medical bill, $8,132.17, glowed on her phone screen like a warning sign she couldn't ignore. She'd already sold her old laptop, skipped meals for a week, and taken on 3 extra freelance gigs, but it still wasn't enough. Her sister was recovering well, thank goodness, but the debt hung over them like a storm cloud that refused to pass. She rolled over and reached for her coffee, cold now, and scrolled through her messages. One name stood out: Vanessa. Vanessa wasn't exactly family, not in the warm Sunday dinner kind of way. She was her mom's cousin's daughter, distant, flashy, and always dressed like she'd just stepped off a private jet. They'd only met a handful of times, usually at awkward family reunions where Vanessa talked about her portfolio and networking, while everyone else passed around potato salad. But today, Vanessa's text was different. "Hey, I heard about your sister. Tough break. I might have a way to help. Meet me at the Oak Room at 2 p.m., cash involved." "Don't be late," Lena frowned. The Oak Room was one of those places where the napkins probably cost more than her lunch, but cash involved made her stomach flip. She hadn't eaten breakfast. She typed back, "Okay." The Oak Room smelled like money: polished wood, fresh flowers, and something faintly citrusy that probably came in a $200 bottle. Lena wore her nicest jeans and a blouse she'd thrifted last year, feeling wildly out of place among women in designer sunglasses and men with watches that could pay her rent for a year. Vanessa was already seated, sipping sparkling water with a lime wedge. She looked exactly like Lena remembered: perfect hair, sharp cheekbones, and eyes that missed nothing. "You came," Vanessa said, not sounding surprised. "Good." Lena sat down, hands folded in her lap. "You said you could help." "I can," Vanessa said, leaning forward slightly. "But it's not charity. It's a job. A very simple one." She slid a manila envelope across the table. $10,000. "All yours, today." Lena's breath caught. 10,000. That would cover the bill, groceries for months, maybe even a little breathing room. "What do I have to do?" Vanessa's smile didn't reach her eyes. "You just have to ruin a date." Lena blinked. "What? Not ruin it, like violent or anything?" Vanessa added quickly, as if reading her mind. "Just make it so bad he never wants to see her again. Or anyone else, for that matter," she explained. Her ex-boyfriend, a CEO named Daniel, was going on a blind date tonight at Le Jardin, a fancy French place downtown. Vanessa claimed he'd stolen her startup idea 2 years ago, used it to build his company, then dumped her when things got serious. Now he was moving on like nothing happened, acting like the grieving single dad millionaire while she was left with nothing. "I just want him to look foolish for one night," she said, voice tight. "Make him think dating is a waste of time. That's all." Lena shifted in her seat. "So I pretend to be the date?" "No," Vanessa said. "The real date is someone his assistant set up, some gallery owner. You'll be there as a distraction. Sit at the next table, be loud, flirty with the waiter, spill your drink, complain about everything. Make him think women are high-maintenance nightmares. He's sensitive, especially about his daughter. If he sees chaos, he'll shut down completely." Lena's stomach twisted. It sounded cruel, manipulative, and yet, $10,000, what if he recognizes me? She asked. "He won't. He's never seen you." "And he'll be focused on his date, or trying to be. You'll just be background noise. Annoying, unforgettable background noise." Vanessa pulled out a thick envelope from her designer bag and placed it on the table. "Half now. Half after you send me proof, like a photo of you at the restaurant or a text saying it's done." Lena stared at the envelope. It felt heavy just looking at it. She thought of her sister, pale in the hospital bed, smiling weakly and saying, "Don't worry about me." She thought of the collection calls, the sleepless nights, the way her hands shook every time she checked her bank balance. She took a deep breath. Okay. That evening, Lena stood in front of her mirror, trying to look like someone she wasn't. She borrowed a bright red dress from a friend, one she'd normally never wear, and put on more makeup than she had in years. She practiced scowling, pouting, rolling her eyes dramatically. "Ugh, this wine is so last season," she muttered to her reflection, then winced. It sounded ridiculous, but Vanessa had been clear. Be extra. Be unbearable. She took an Uber to Le Jardin, heart pounding the whole way. The restaurant was even fancier than she expected. Soft lighting, white tablecloths, waiters in crisp black vests moving like ghosts. She spotted him right away. He sat near the window, back straight, hands folded. He looked younger than she expected, maybe mid-30s, with tired eyes and a quiet kind of handsomeness. His dark hair was slightly messy, like he'd run his hands through it too many times. And then she saw the little girl. A small child, maybe 6 or 7, sat beside him in a booster seat, coloring quietly in a notebook. She had his eyes, deep brown and serious, but her smile was quick and bright when the waiter brought her a glass of milk. Lena froze. Vanessa hadn't said anything about a kid. She texted Vanessa in a panic. "He brought his daughter?" 3 dots appeared. "Then so what? Just do your thing. The date hasn't even arrived yet. Sit down. Be annoying." Lena's hands trembled as she was shown to a table right next to theirs. She ordered a glass of wine she didn't plan to drink and tried to look bored, flipping through a menu like it offended her. But every time she glanced over, she saw the man gently helping his daughter cut her bread, or whispering something that made the girl giggle. He wasn't the cold, arrogant CEO Vanessa described. He looked sad and patient, and completely focused on his child. The real blind date arrived 20 minutes late, elegant, poised, wearing a silk dress that probably cost more than Lena's monthly rent. She apologized with a smooth smile, but the man just nodded politely, his attention still half on his daughter. Lena knew she should start her act. Spill the wine, call the waiter darling, complain about the music. But as she watched the little girl frown over a math problem in her notebook, something in her chest tightened. Before she could stop herself, Lena leaned over slightly. "Need help with that?" she asked softly. The girl looked up, surprised. "It's fractions," she whispered. "I don't get it," Lena smiled. "I used to hate fractions too. Want me to show you a trick?" The man Daniel looked over, startled. "Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to." "It's fine," Lena said, meeting his eyes for the first time. "I'm Lena." He hesitated, then nodded. "Daniel. And this is Maya." Maya scooted her chair closer. "Can you really help?" Lena pulled out a pen. "Watch this." She drew 3 circles, divided them into halves, then showed how 2 halves made a whole. Maya's eyes lit up. "Oh, so it's like pizza." "Exactly," Lena laughed. "Math is just pizza in disguise." Daniel watched them, his expression unreadable. The real date cleared her throat, looking increasingly annoyed. Lena should have stopped there. She should have gone back to her table, made a scene, collected her money, and walked away. But Maya was beaming at her like she'd just unlocked a secret code. And Daniel was looking at her like he hadn't seen someone be kind to his daughter in a long time. So she stayed. She helped Maya with 2 more problems. Shared a bite of her dessert when Maya's arrived. Just a tiny one, don't tell your dad. Even calmed her down when she got nervous about a school presentation coming up next week. "You'll be great," Lena said. "Just imagine everyone's wearing silly hats. My 3rd grade teacher told me that." "Worked every time," Maya giggled. "Even the principal?" "Especially the principal." When the evening wound down, the real date excused herself early, muttering something about unexpected work. Daniel didn't seem to care. He helped Maya into her coat, then turned to Lena. "Thank you," he said quietly. "She's been stressed about that presentation all week. You were really good with her." Lena's face burned with guilt. "I just like kids." He studied her for a moment, like he was trying to figure out if she was genuine. Then he smiled, a real one, small but warm. "Can I get your number? In case she has more math emergencies?" Lena panicked. "Oh, But before she could refuse, Maya piped up, "Yes, please." So Lena gave it to him. Not her real number. She gave him a Google Voice number she'd set up for freelance work. Still, as she walked out into the cool night air, her stomach churned. She'd failed Vanessa's mission completely. Worse, she'd liked being with them. She'd liked him. Back at her apartment, she stared at the half envelope of cash on her kitchen table. It felt dirty now. She texted Vanessa, "It's done. Sent you a photo from the restaurant." She attached a blurry shot of the entrance, no faces, just the sign. Vanessa replied instantly, "Good, you'll get the rest tomorrow." But Lena didn't feel good. She kept seeing Maya's smile, Daniel's tired eyes softening when his daughter laughed. She'd gone in to sabotage a man's night and walked out feeling like she'd betrayed someone who didn't deserve it. She picked up her phone and almost deleted the Google Voice number, but something stopped her. Maybe it was the memory of Maya saying, "You're nice. Most grown-ups don't listen." Or maybe it was the way Daniel had looked at her. Not like a CEO, not like a millionaire, but like a dad who was just trying his best. Whatever it was, Lena left the number active. And for the first time in weeks, she didn't feel alone in her worry. She felt seen. But she had no idea that Daniel was already replaying their conversation in his head, wondering why a stranger had been so kind to his daughter, and why, for the first time since his wife passed, he'd felt something other than grief. He didn't know she'd been paid to ruin his night, and she didn't know that. By choosing kindness over cash, she'd just changed both their lives forever. Lena didn't sleep much that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the little girl's face, wide-eyed, hopeful, trusting. And the man's quiet, "Thank you," echoed in her head like a question she hadn't answered. She'd gone into that restaurant with a script, a role to play, and a paycheck waiting. Instead, she'd left with a knot in her stomach and a fake phone number floating out in the world like a loose thread. She told herself it didn't matter. She'd done enough to satisfy Vanessa. The photo was sent, the money would come, and she'd never see them again. But by morning, her hands were shaking again, not from hunger this time, but from guilt. Her phone buzzed just after 9. Unknown number. "Hey, it's Daniel." From last night. "Maya wanted me to say thanks again, and she asked if you'd help her practice her presentation this week. Only if you're free. No pressure." Lena stared at the message. Her finger hovered over the screen. She should ignore it. Block the number. Walk away clean. But then she remembered how Maya had whispered, "I'm scared I'll forget my lines." Like it was the worst thing in the world. And how the man, Daniel, hadn't pushed, hadn't demanded, just waited quietly while his daughter worked up the courage to ask for help. She typed back slowly. "Sure. Maybe Tuesday after school?" The reply came instantly. "That would be great. I'll pick you up at 3:30. Lena's heart jumped. Pick me up? She lived in a neighborhood where people didn't get picked up. They took the bus or walked. But before she could overthink it, she sent her address. Tuesday afternoon, she stood on her front steps in clean jeans and a soft sweater, hair pulled back, no makeup. She felt underdressed, exposed. When the black SUV pulled up, quiet, expensive, but not flashy, she almost backed inside. But the passenger window rolled down, and Maya's face appeared, beaming. "You came." Daniel stepped out, wearing a simple button-down and dark jeans. No suit, no tie, no CEO armor. He looked like any other dad picking up a friend for his kid. "Thanks for doing this," he said, holding the door open. Lena slid into the back seat where Maya immediately handed her a crumpled piece of paper. "This is my speech. It's about bees. Did you know they do a dance to tell other bees where flowers are?" "I did not," Lena said, smiling. "That's amazing." The drive to their house was quiet, comfortable. Daniel asked about her work. She told him she did design stuff online, and he listened like he actually cared. Not like he was humoring her, but like he wanted to understand. His house wasn't a mansion, just a neat, lived-in home in a quiet neighborhood. Toys were stacked in the corner, books everywhere, a half-finished puzzle on the coffee table. It felt warm, real. For the next hour, Lena sat cross-legged on the living room floor while Maya practiced her presentation. She stumbled a few times, cheeks turning pink, but Lena cheered her on, asked questions, even pretended to be a confused bee who needed clearer directions. By the third try, Maya was standing tall, voice strong, hands gesturing like a pro. "You're ready," Lena said, genuinely impressed. Maya threw her arms around her. "You're the best practice partner ever." Daniel watched from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, a small smile playing on his lips. "She hasn't smiled this much since—" "Well, in a while." Lena didn't ask. She didn't need to. The sadness in his voice said enough. He offered her tea. They sat at the kitchen table while Maya colored nearby, humming to herself. "You're really good with her," he said after a while. "I like kids," Lena said simply. "They're honest," he nodded. "Most people don't know what to do around her. They either treat her like she's made of glass, or they ignore her completely." "She's not fragile," Lena said. "She's just a kid who misses her mom." Daniel looked up sharply. "How did you—" "You don't have to say it," Lena said gently. "But I can see it. In the way you look at her photos on the fridge. In how you hold her hand a little tighter than you need to." He was quiet for a long moment. Then he whispered, "It's been 2 years." "I'm sorry," Lena said. "Thanks," he said. Most people say they're sorry like it's a line they have to get through. You just sat with it. They didn't talk much after that. But something shifted. It wasn't friendship, not yet, but it was trust. And that felt rare. When it was time to go, Daniel walked her to the door. "Can I ask, why were you at Le Jardin that night?" "You weren't with anyone." Lena's stomach dropped. She'd been waiting for this question. "I needed a quiet place to think," she said, choosing her words carefully. "Saw you and Maya, and I guess I just missed talking to someone real." It wasn't the whole truth, but it wasn't a lie either. He studied her face, like he was trying to read between the lines. Then he nodded. "Well, you're always welcome here. For Maya, or for you." The next morning, Lena got a text from Vanessa. "Where's the rest of the job? He's acting weird. Posted on social about some kind stranger who helped his daughter. Sounds like you didn't do what you were paid for." Lena's blood ran cold. She opened her laptop and searched his company name. Sure enough, on the official Instagram there was a post. A photo of Maya holding up a drawing of a bee captioned, "Sometimes the right person shows up when you least expect it. Grateful for small kindnesses, no name." No face, but Vanessa knew. And now she was angry. Lena typed back, "I did what I could." He brought his kid? It wasn't the right time. "Wrong," Vanessa replied. "You were supposed to make him hate dating, not make him post lovey-dovey stuff online. You owe me that money back." Lena stared at the message. She didn't have it. She'd already used half to pay the hospital. Panic clawed at her throat, but before she could respond, her phone buzzed again, this time from Daniel. "Hey, I know this is sudden, but Maya has her presentation tomorrow. She's nervous again. Would you be willing to come? Just for a few minutes. She keeps saying, what if Lena's not there?" Lena's heart ached. She wanted to say yes. But what if Vanessa found out? What if she showed up and caused a scene? What if Daniel learned the truth still? She couldn't say no to Maya. She replied, "I'll be there." The school was small, cheerful, filled with kids in bright backpacks and parents holding coffee cups. Lena hung back near the entrance, feeling out of place in her thrift store coat. But the moment Maya spotted her, she ran over and grabbed her hand. "You came. I was scared you wouldn't." "I wouldn't miss it," Lena said, squeezing her fingers. Daniel stood nearby, watching them. He didn't say much, just gave her a look that said, "Thank you." The presentation went perfectly. Maya spoke clearly, pointed to her poster with confidence, even did a little bee dance at the end that made the whole class laugh. When she finished, the teacher clapped and the other kids cheered. Afterward, Daniel walked Lena to the parking lot. "You have no idea what this means to her." "To me. She's brave," Lena said. "She just needed someone to believe in her." "So do you," he said softly. Lena looked away. "I'm not the hero here, aren't you?" he asked. "You showed up." Again and again. Most people don't. She didn't know how to answer that. He hesitated, then said, "I looked you up." Lena froze. "What?" Not in a creepy way, he added quickly. "After the restaurant, I checked the security footage, just to see if I'd imagined how kind you were. I saw you sitting alone before we arrived. You looked sad, and then you saw Maya and your whole face changed." Lena's breath caught. "You watched the footage?" "I needed to understand," he said, "because I couldn't figure out why someone would be so good to a stranger's kid. Especially when the world feels so transactional." She swallowed hard. "Maybe I needed to be good to someone too." He nodded like that made perfect sense. Then he said something that made her blood run cold. "I also saw Vanessa talking to you at the Oak Room that afternoon." Lena's stomach dropped. "You know her?" "I used to," he said, voice tight. "We dated briefly. It didn't end well. She's complicated." Lena's mind raced. He knew Vanessa. He'd seen them together. How much did he know? Before she could speak, he added, "If she asked you to do something, I want you to know you don't have to protect her. Or me. Just be honest." The parking lot was quiet. Birds chirped. A school bell rang in the distance. Lena took a deep breath. "She paid me." Daniel didn't flinch. "To do what?" "To ruin your date," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. "To act like a nightmare so you'd never want to date again." "She said you stole her idea, that you ruined her life." He was silent for a long time. Then he let out a slow breath. "I didn't steal anything." She pitched an app concept. I gave honest feedback, it wasn't viable. She took it personally. When I ended things, she threatened to sue. But I have emails, proof. Lena felt tears prick her eyes. I didn't know. I was desperate. My sister's sick. The bills? You didn't have to lie, he said gently. You could have just asked for help. I don't ask, she said. Not anymore. He looked at her, really looked, and she felt seen in a way that scared her. You're not like her, he said. You stayed when you didn't have to. You came back. That's not sabotage. That's heart. Lena wiped her eyes quickly. I'm so sorry. Don't be, he said. You gave my daughter something I couldn't, someone who made her feel normal again. That's worth more than any date. He paused, then added, and for what it's worth, I'm glad it was you. That night, Lena sat on her couch, phone in hand. Vanessa had sent 3 more angry messages. One said, You're dead to me, and I'm telling everyone what you really are. But Lena didn't care anymore, because for the first time in months, she didn't feel like a fraud. She'd gone in to break something, and instead, she'd helped put something back together. And when her phone buzzed with a new message, Maya wants to know if you like pancakes. We're making them Saturday, you in? She smiled through her tears and typed back, I love pancakes. Outside, the city hummed with noise and traffic and worry. But inside her small apartment, for the first time in a long time, there was peace and maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something real. Lena woke up Saturday morning to the smell of rain and the sound of her phone buzzing on the nightstand. She'd barely slept, her mind racing between guilt, hope, and the terrifying thought that she might actually be starting to care about people she had no right to care about. But when she saw the message, we're running a little late but still on for pancakes? Her chest loosened like a knot finally coming undone. She said yes. By 10, she was standing on their porch again, this time with a small bag of fresh blueberries she'd bought with the last of her grocery money. Daniel opened the door in an old t-shirt and sweatpants, hair messy, eyes tired but warm. Maya barreled past him before he could say hello, grabbing Lena's hand and dragging her into the kitchen like she was the most exciting guest in the world. You brought berries, Maya squealed, peering into the bag. Dad always burns them. I do not, Daniel called from behind, but he was smiling. The morning unfolded in a blur of laughter, spilled batter and syrup on the table. Lena flipped pancakes while Maya supervised and Daniel made coffee, occasionally catching Lena's eye like they were sharing a secret. It felt easy, normal, like they'd done this 100 times before, but as they cleaned up, Daniel grew quiet. He dried a plate slowly, then said, I need to talk to you about something. Lena's stomach dropped. She'd been waiting for this, the moment he changed his mind, the moment kindness turned to suspicion. He leaned against the counter. After you left the other day, I dug deeper. Not because I don't trust you, he added quickly, seeing her flinch, but because I wanted to understand why Vanessa would go this far. He pulled out his phone and showed her an email chain, dated 2 years ago. In it, Vanessa had pitched a vague idea for a wellness tracker for busy professionals. Daniel had responded politely, suggesting she refine the concept, maybe partner with a developer. She'd taken it as rejection. Then came the threats. You'll regret this. I'll make sure no one ever takes you seriously again. She tried to leak fake documents to my investors, he said. Claimed I stole her intellectual property. Nothing stuck because it wasn't true. But it cost me time, money, peace of mind. Lena stared at the screen, sickened. She told me you ruined her. She ruined herself, he said gently. But that doesn't excuse what she asked you to do, or what she's probably planning now. As if on cue, Lena's phone buzzed in her pocket. A notification from a local gossip blog. Tech Millionaire's new mystery woman. Gold digger or genuine? Her blood turned to ice. She opened the link. There was a grainy photo of her leaving Le Jardin that first night, captioned, Sources say this woman was paid to cozy up to grieving CEO after his blind date was mysteriously canceled. Is she after his fortune? Or his heart? The comments were already flooding in. Another scammer. Poor guy can't catch a break. Hope he's vetting her better than his last girlfriend. Lena's hands shook. She's doing this already. Daniel read over her shoulder, jaw tightening. Vanessa, she's trying to ruin me, Lena whispered. And you. He didn't hesitate. No, she's not. He took her phone, scrolled to the bottom of the article, and typed a reply, not defensive, not angry, just calm and clear. This woman helped my daughter when no one else would. I'm grateful. The rest is noise. Then he looked at Lena. Let me handle this. But Lena shook her head. You can't fix my reputation for me. People will think you're just protecting your... whatever I am to you. You're Lena, he said simply, and that's enough. Over the next few days, the story spread. Not widely, just enough to sting. A client canceled a design project saying, I don't work with people involved in drama. Another asked if the rumors were true. Lena lied and said she didn't know what they were talking about, but the shame burned in her throat. She stopped answering calls. Avoided social media, even skipped Maya's soccer game, texting that she was sick. But Daniel didn't let her disappear. He showed up at her door Tuesday evening with Maya in tow, holding a cardboard box. We brought homework, he said. And cookies. Maya held up a slightly lopsided chocolate chip cookie. I made it. Dad says it's 70% edible. Lena couldn't say no. Inside, while Maya worked on spelling words, Daniel sat at her tiny kitchen table and said, I have an offer. She braced herself. If it's money, I can't take it. It's not, he said. It's work. Real work. He explained. His company was launching a new app, a family wellness platform inspired by his late wife's advocacy for accessible mental health resources for kids and parents. The current design was cold, corporate, impersonal. It feels like a hospital brochure, he admitted. My wife would have hated it. I want you to redesign it, he said. Make it warm, human, like you. Lena blinked. Me, I'm just a freelancer. I've never done anything this big. You helped my daughter feel seen, he said. That's the hardest part. The rest is just pixels. He offered fair pay, more than fair. Enough to cover the rest of her sister's bills and then some. And it would be under contract, public, traceable, no secrets. No shadows, I can't, she said, voice breaking. What if people think you're just doing this because of us? Let them think what they want, he said. I know why I'm asking. And you know why you'd be good at it. Maya looked up from her worksheet. Please say yes, Lena. You could put a B on the home screen. Lena laughed through tears. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I'll do it. Work began the next week. Daniel set her up with a temporary login, access to the design files, and a direct line to his product team. At first she was nervous, imposter syndrome whispering that she wasn't qualified, that she'd mess it up, that Vanessa would find a way to twist this too. But then she thought of Maya practicing her B speech, of the way Daniel listened like every word mattered, of how her sister had hugged her last week and said, You seem lighter lately. So she designed from the heart. She used soft colors, sky blue, warm yellow, gentle greens. She replaced stiff icons with hand-drawn illustrations, a parent holding a child's hand, a kid taking deep breaths, a family cooking together. She added a feature where kids could record voice notes to their parents when they were feeling overwhelmed. She called it Quiet Moments. When she sent the first mock-up to Daniel, he didn't reply for an hour. She panicked, thinking she'd gone too far. Then his message came. My wife would have cried. This is perfect. But Vanessa wasn't done. One afternoon, as Lena left the library after printing design samples, a woman approached her with a recorder. Can you confirm you were paid by Vanessa Cho to sabotage Daniel Reyes's personal life? Lena froze. I don't know what you're talking about. The reporter pressed. Sources say you were hired as a honey trap. Is that why he's giving you this high-profile job? Lena's face burned. I earned this job. Ask him. She walked away fast, heart pounding. That night she called Daniel, voice shaking. They're calling me a gold digger. A con artist. He was quiet for a moment. Then, tomorrow I'm holding a press briefing. Not about you, about the app. And I want you there. Are you sure? She asked. It'll look like what it is, he said. A talented designer being recognized for her work. The next day, Lena stood backstage at the tech center, smoothing her simple dress, feeling like she might throw up. Daniel found her holding 2 cups of tea. Breathe, he said. You belong here. When they walked on stage together, the room fell silent. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned forward. Daniel spoke first about his wife's dream, about the gaps in family mental health support, about why this app mattered. Then he turned to Lena. This redesign was led by Lena Chen, he said, gesturing to her. She didn't just make it beautiful. She made it kind. Because she understands what families really need. Not perfection, but connection. He didn't mention Vanessa. Didn't defend her. Just let Lena's work speak for itself. Afterward, a reporter asked, "Is there a personal relationship between you two?" Daniel looked at Lena, then back at the room. There's respect. There's trust. And right now, that's more than enough. No drama, no denial, just truth. Later, as they walked to the car, Maya ran up from where she'd been waiting with a staff member. Did you see? Everyone was clapping! Lena knelt down. Because of you, she said. This app is for kids like you. Maya hugged her tight. I'm proud of you. That night, alone in her apartment, Lena finally opened her laptop and deleted the Google Voice number she'd given Daniel that first night. She replaced it with her real one. Then she texted him, "Thanks for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." His reply came fast. "I didn't believe in you. I saw you." She cried then, not from fear, but from relief. For the first time, she wasn't hiding. She wasn't pretending. She was just Lena. And somehow, that was enough. But miles away, Vanessa watched the press conference replay on her phone, face tight with fury. She typed a message to an old contact at a tabloid. You haven't heard the real story yet. The storm wasn't over. But this time, Lena wasn't facing it alone. The press conference should have been the turning point, the moment everything settled. But instead, it felt like the calm before a storm Lena couldn't see coming. For a few days, things actually got better. Her inbox filled with real design inquiries, small businesses, nonprofits, even a children's hospital asking if she'd consult on their patient app. Her sister called, laughing, saying a nurse had recognized Lena from the news and told her how proud she was. Maya sent her drawings every other day, bees wearing capes labeled Lena the Helper. And Daniel? He texted almost daily, not about work, but little things. Maya tried to make pancakes again, their charcoal, you in for round 3, or saw a bee garden downtown. Thought of you. Lena let herself believe just a little that maybe good things could last. Then the email arrived. It came from an anonymous sender titled, The Truth About Lena Chen. Inside was a PDF, screenshots of her texts with Vanessa, doctored to look like Lena had initiated the sabotage. There was a photo of her leaving the Oak Room, cropped to hide Vanessa's face. And worst of all, a fake bank transfer receipt showing a $15,000 payment from Daniel's company to her account, dated the day after their first meeting. Attached was a note. This is just the beginning. Enjoy your 15 minutes. Before she could process it, her phone exploded. A tabloid website had published the leak under the headline, Kind Designer or Paid Actress, CEO's New Girlfriend Caught in Deception. This time, it wasn't just gossip. It felt like an attack. Her clients vanished. One wrote, I'm sorry, but my board won't approve working with someone under investigation. Another simply blocked her number. Her social media flooded with comments. Fake. Scammer. How much did he pay you to cry? On cue? She sat on her floor back against the couch shaking. Not because of the money. She'd never taken a cent outside the contract, but because it felt like her truth was being erased. Like no one would ever believe her again. Her phone rang. It was Daniel. She didn't answer. He called again. And again. On the 5th try, she picked up, voice raw. Don't. Lena, he said, and she could hear the worry in his voice. I saw it. It's lies. All of it. Does it matter? She whispered. People believe what they want to. It matters to me, he said firmly. And it matters to Maya. She's asking why people are saying mean things about you. Lena closed her eyes. Tell her I'm sorry. No, he said. I'm not hiding you. And you shouldn't either. The next morning, Daniel did something no one expected. Instead of issuing a corporate denial or lawyering up, he posted a video on his company's official page. Just him, sitting at his kitchen table, Maya's drawings taped to the fridge behind him. He didn't wear a suit, didn't read from a script. He said, "A few weeks ago, a woman sat next to my daughter at a restaurant and helped her with her homework. She didn't know who I was. She didn't ask for anything. She just saw a scared kid and chose kindness." He paused, looked straight into the camera. "That woman is Lena Chen. She's now redesigning our family wellness app because she understands what real care looks like. Not performance, not profit, but presence." Then he held up a printed copy of the fake bank receipt. "This is altered. Our financial records are public, anyone can check. But more importantly, why does it matter? Even if I had paid her for her time, would that make her kindness less real? Would it make her talent less true?" His voice softened. "We live in a world that assumes the worst in people, especially women who show up for others. But sometimes the simplest truth is the right one. She's a good person, and we're lucky to know her." He ended with, "The app launches next month. Proceeds go to children's mental health programs. Lena designed it so every kid feels seen. Maybe we should try to see her too." The video went viral by noon. Not because it was polished, it wasn't. Because it was human. People shared it with captions like, "Finally, a man who defends instead of discards," and "This is how you stand by someone." Former clients reached out apologizing. Strangers sent messages, "I believed the lies, I'm sorry." Even a few reporters wrote, "We got this wrong." But not everyone. Vanessa posted a vague Instagram story. "Some people will say anything to stay in the spotlight. Sad." Then she blocked Lena everywhere. Lena didn't respond. She was too busy working, because Daniel's video didn't just defend her, it gave her a mission. She dove into the app with everything she had. She added a new section called Real. Stories. Short animated videos of kids and parents talking about hard days, big feelings, small victories. She made sure the language was simple, the buttons big enough for small hands, the colors calming, not overwhelming. She even recorded her own voice for the guided breathing exercise. Breathe in, like you're smelling a flower. Breathe out, like you're blowing out a candle. When Daniel heard it, he just nodded, eyes a little shiny. "My wife used to say that to Maya." "I know," Lena said softly. "Maya told me." One rainy Thursday, Lena's sister showed up at her door unannounced. She looked healthier, color in her cheeks, strength in her step. "You okay?" she asked, hugging Lena tight. "I am now," Lena said. Her sister held up her phone. "I saw the video and the app preview. Lena, you're amazing." "I just tried to be honest," Lena said. Her sister squeezed her hand. "That's the rarest thing of all." Later that night, Daniel called. "The board wants to meet you." Lena tensed. "Why?" "They're not questioning you," he said quickly. "They want to thank you, and they've approved doubling the mental health grant tied to the app launch." She let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Really?" "Really," he said. "You didn't just save the project. You gave it a soul." The final week before launch, everything came together. Test users, real families, gave glowing feedback. Kids loved the bee mascot, now named Buddy. Parents cried when they heard the breathing exercise. One mom wrote, "My son used your quiet moments feature after his first panic attack. He said it felt like someone was holding his hand." Lena printed that note and taped it to her wall. The night before the launch event, she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking, what if Vanessa shows up? What if someone yells? What if I freeze on stage? Her phone buzzed. A photo from Daniel. Maya, asleep on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, hugging a stuffed bee. Caption, "She says good luck. And don't be nervous. You're already her hero." Lena smiled through tears. The launch gala was held in a sunlit community center, not a fancy hotel. No red carpet, just families, counselors, and a few local reporters. Kids ran around with face paint. Parents sipped coffee, and on every table sat a small potted plant with a tag, "Grow kindness." Lena stood at the back, heart pounding, until Daniel found her. He didn't say anything, just took her hand and walked her to the front. When it was her turn to speak, she looked out at the room. Real people, real faces, and forgot her notes. "I didn't set out to build an app," she said, voice quiet but clear. "I just wanted to make sure no kid ever feels alone when they're scared. Because I've been there, and so has my sister, and maybe, so have you." She didn't mention Vanessa, didn't defend herself, just shared why this mattered. Afterward, people lined up to thank her. A little boy tugged her sleeve and whispered, "Your bee helped me sleep." An older woman hugged her and said, "My grandson uses your breathing trick every night." Daniel watched from the side, pride glowing in his eyes. Later, as the crowd thinned, he walked over. "You did it." "We did it," she corrected. He smiled. "There's one more thing." He led her to a small stage where a banner read, "In loving memory of his wife's name, whose dream lives on." Beneath it, a plaque. "Designed with heart by Lena Chen." She covered her mouth. "You didn't have to do that." "Yes," he said softly. "I did." That night, as they walked to the car under a sky full of stars, Maya asleep in the back seat, Daniel stopped. "I've spent 2 years trying to protect my daughter from pain," he said. "But you showed her that joy still exists. That people can be kind without wanting something back." Lena looked at him. "I didn't do it for thanks." "I know," he said. "That's why it means everything." He didn't kiss her, didn't make promises, just stood there, hand brushing hers, both of them breathing in the quiet night, and for the first time, Lena didn't feel like she was waiting for the other shoe to drop. She felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. But miles away, Vanessa packed a suitcase, deleted her social media, and booked a one-way ticket out of town. The game was over. She'd lost. And somewhere in the quiet hum of the city, a little girl dreamed of bees. A man finally felt hope, and a woman learned that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just be yourself and let someone see you. 3 months after the app launched, Lena's life didn't look like a fairy tale, but it felt like something better. Real, grounded, full. The app, now called Buddy and Me, was downloaded over 500,000 times in its first month. Schools started using it in counseling sessions. Pediatric clinics displayed posters with the bee mascot in waiting rooms. And every time someone tagged her in a post, "My daughter used your breathing exercise before her dentist appointment," or "Thank you for making mental health feel gentle," Lena saved it in a folder she titled Proof, not proof that she was innocent. Proof that kindness could ripple. She still lived in her small apartment, but now it was filled with light, real plants on the windowsill, Maya's drawings taped to the fridge, and a new laptop paid for with honest work. Her sister was back at school, healthy and laughing, and they had Sunday dinners again, just the two of them talking about nothing and everything. Daniel didn't sweep her off her feet with grand gestures. He showed up. Every Tuesday he'd text, "Maya's making experimental soup. You in?" Some weeks Lena said no, she had deadlines or needed quiet. He never took it personally. Other weeks she'd show up, and they'd end up on the couch, Maya between them, watching cartoons while Daniel quietly handed her a mug of tea, just how she liked it. No sugar, a splash of oat milk. No one talked about Vanessa anymore. She'd vanished from the city, her social media gone dark, her name fading like a rumor no one wanted to repeat. The tabloid that published the fake story issued a quiet correction. No lawsuit, no drama, just silence. And in that silence, Lena finally exhaled. One crisp autumn afternoon, Lena got a call from the children's hospital where her sister had been treated. They wanted to partner with Buddy and Me to create a special version for kids facing long-term care. Would she be willing to consult? She said yes. The project took weeks. Visiting the hospital, sitting with kids during treatment, listening to nurses, sketching ideas in waiting rooms. She added a new feature, Brave badges, where kids could earn digital stickers for small acts of courage, taking medicine, talking about fears, even just getting out of bed on a hard day. When she showed the prototype to Daniel, he didn't say much, just pulled her into a hug that lasted longer than usual, his voice rough when he finally spoke. She would have loved this. He didn't have to say who she was. Lena knew. The real turning point came on a rainy Friday. Lena was working late in her apartment when Daniel knocked, unannounced, which was rare. Maya wasn't with him. He looked tired but calm. "Can we talk?" he asked. She made tea. They sat at her tiny table, the one with the wobbly leg she'd never fixed. "I've been thinking," he began, fingers wrapped around his mug. "About us." Lena's heart skipped. They'd never defined us. They weren't dating, not officially. But they weren't just friends either. They were something in between. Something careful, tender, built slowly like a bridge over shaky ground. "I don't want to rush you," he said, "and I don't want Maya to feel like she's replacing anyone. But," he looked up, eyes steady, "I can't imagine my life without you in it. Not as a helper, not as a designer, just as you." Lena swallowed. "I'm scared," she admitted. "What if I mess it up? What if I'm not enough for both of you?" "You already are," he said softly. "You've been enough since that first night at the restaurant, when you chose Maya over a paycheck. That's who you are, and that's who I want." He didn't ask her to be his girlfriend. He didn't ask her to move in. He just asked her to keep showing up as herself. She nodded. Okay, and that was it. No fireworks. Just two people choosing each other quietly, in the middle of an ordinary evening. A few weeks later, the hospital held a small event to launch the new Brave Badges feature. Families filled the community room, kids wearing paper crowns and holding tablets showing their favorite parts of the app. Lena stood near the back watching a little boy proudly show his mom his super breather badge. Then she felt a small hand slip into hers. Maya stood beside her, dressed in a yellow sweater that matched the B on her shirt. "Dad says I can tell you now," she whispered. "Tell me what?" Lena asked. Maya grinned. "That I asked him if you could be my new mom." Lena's breath caught. "Oh, Maya. I know you're not really," the girl said quickly, "but you tuck me in sometimes. You help me with homework. You laugh at Dad's bad jokes, and you don't go away." Lena knelt down, eyes stinging. "I would never go away." "Good," Maya said, hugging her tight. "Because I already told my teacher you're my family." From across the room, Daniel watched them, hands in his pockets, a quiet smile on his face. When Lena looked up, he just nodded, like he'd been waiting for this moment as long as she had. That night, after dropping Maya off with a babysitter, Daniel took Lena for a walk in the park near his house. The leaves were gold and red, crunching under their feet. The air smelled like wood smoke and apples. They didn't talk much at first. Just walked, shoulders brushing, comfortable in the quiet. Finally, he stopped under an old oak tree and turned to her. "I never thought I'd feel this again," he said. "After everything, I thought my heart was done." Lena looked at him, really looked. At the lines around his eyes from late nights and worry, at the way his voice softened when he said Maya's name, at the steady way he'd stood by her even when the world turned against her. "I didn't either," she said. "I thought I'd always be the one fixing things for everyone else, never the one being cared for." He reached for her hand. "You don't have to fix anything with me. Just be here." She leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder. "I'm here." And for the first time, it didn't feel temporary. It felt like home. The next morning, Lena woke up early and drove to the hospital, not for work, but for her sister's final follow-up. The doctor smiled, gave a clean bill of health, and said, "You're free to live your life now." On the drive back, her sister turned to her. "So are you and Daniel?" Lena laughed. "We're figuring it out slowly." "Good," her sister said. "He looks at you like you hung the moon." "He looks at Maya like that too," Lena said softly. "And that's why it works." A month later, on a clear Saturday morning, Daniel invited Lena over for a project. When she arrived, Maya handed her a paintbrush and pointed to the fence in the backyard. "We're making a bee garden," she announced. "Flowers for bees, a little house, and a sign that says Buddy's home." They spent the day planting lavender, sunflowers, and wildflowers. Daniel built a tiny wooden bee hotel, Lena painted the sign, yellow letters on a blue board, with a smiling bee in the corner. As the sun set, the three of them sat on the grass, dirt on their hands, tired and happy. Maya leaned against Lena. "Do you think real bees will come?" "I know they will," Lena said. "Because you made it safe for them?" Maya asked. Lena looked at Daniel, then back at the little girl. "Yeah," she said, "because we made it safe." Later, as Lena helped Maya wash up, the girl looked up at her with serious eyes. "You're my new mom, right?" Lena's throat tightened. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She just knelt down, brushed a curl from Maya's forehead, and whispered, "If your dad says yes." From the doorway, Daniel heard every word. He didn't interrupt. Just watched them, the woman who'd walked into his life as a stranger and stayed as family, and nodded. Not because he was giving permission, but because he already knew. That night, Lena didn't go home. She stayed for dinner, then helped Maya with bedtime stories. As she tucked the girl in, Maya whispered, "Don't leave yet." "I won't," Lena promised. She sat in the hallway for a while, listening to Maya's breathing slow into sleep. Then Daniel appeared, holding 2 mugs of hot chocolate. They sat on the porch, wrapped in blankets, watching the stars. "You know," he said after a while, "I used to think love was something that happened to you, like lightning. Fast, loud, over in a flash." Lena sipped her drink. "What do you think now?" He looked at her. "Now I think it's like planting a garden. You show up every day. You water it. You pull the weeds. You wait, and one day, you realize it's blooming." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I like that kind of love better." "Me too," he said. And in that quiet moment, with the scent of earth and flowers in the air, and the sound of a child sleeping peacefully inside, Lena finally understood. She hadn't derailed anyone's life that night at the restaurant. She'd helped steer it, gently, honestly, lovingly, back to where it was meant to go. Not because she was paid to, but because she chose to. And that made all the difference.